Okay, good morning and welcome to the School of Biomedical Sciences webinar. My name is Debbie Bevitt and I'm the Head of School of Biomedical Sciences, and I'll begin the session by asking the other members of the panel here today to introduce themselves to you. So we'll start with Nick to my right here.
Hi, I'm Nick Morris. I'm a senior lecturer in the school and I also involved in the recruitment of international students.
I'm Ashley and I'm a pharmacology graduate.
I'm Andrew and I'm a biomedical sciences graduate.
Hi, I'm Andy. I'm a lecturer in the school. I'm involved in the admissions and I'm also involved in the curriculum.
Okay, thank you. So we decided to run this webinar this morning because we do appreciate that going through what you went through yesterday, getting your results and going through clearing can be a pretty stressful time for you. And you might be sitting there at the moment holding an offer from us through clearing and still not feeling quite sure about whether Newcastle University is the right place for you or whether this is the right course for you. So what we want to do in this session is to give you a bit more information so that you can be sure that you're making the decision that's best for you. So we're going to start off with a short introduction where we'll tell you a bit about the city and about the university and also about our courses. And then the rest of the session will be open for you to ask any questions that you might have. So you can ask questions just by typing them into the chat function that you have on your screen. If you are interested in actually visiting us, you can come to our open day, which is happening tomorrow. We have a post-clearing open day and also another one next Thursday. And you should have received information about that in the email yesterday. Okay, so we'll start with the introduction and just give us a moment for the screen to come up with the presentation. Technology is going rather slowly here. Bear with us for a moment. Okay. Okay. So, first of all, we'll begin by telling you a bit about the city. So you can see on the first slide here some views from around the city. If you'd like to get a better feel for the city and the campus, what I suggest is go onto the university website and there are links to videos there that give you a good flavour of both the city and the campus. You can see from the aerial photograph here on the screen that Newcastle is quite a small, compact city. And the medical school where you'll be taught is based here where the red arrow is pointing. As I say, the city is quite compact. You can walk from the medical school down to the quayside here on the River Tyne in about 20 minutes across the city here. So most students find it very easy to bike or cycle, bike or catch bus around the city or to walk. You can get out into the countryside very easily, into the Northumberland countryside or out to the coast, which is absolutely beautiful. And there's everything in the city that you might want, really. It's a very lively student city. There's plenty of shopping, nightlife, but also if you're into music, you might want to go to the Sage Theatre here, and also there's the Baltic Art Gallery. If you like your sport, obviously we've got St James's Park for the football and also Kingston Park for the rugby, so there really is something for everybody here. So this slide shows the programmes that we offer here in the School of Biomedical Sciences, and they're split, as you can see, between 3-year BSc programmes and 4-year MSci programmes. And the MSci programmes are largely focused on students who are interested in following a career in research. So most of you holding clearing offers have holding offers for the BSc Biomedical Sciences programme and the Biochemistry programme. But as I'll explain in a moment, you can switch between any of these programmes at the end of your first year. You'll also have the option of taking a professional placement year between your second and third year. And so the way this works is you sign up, you register on the standard BSc programme or MSci programme, and then during your second year, we have a dedicated member of staff who will help you to find a placement, usually in industry. And if you're successful in getting that placement, we simply switch you to the degree with professional placement year. And we find that students who take these professional placement years are really well placed when it comes to looking for employment when they graduate. So this slide gives you an overview of the structure of the programme. The year is divided into 2 semesters, and you will study 120 credits in each year, and that's normal for all universities in the UK. In the first phase of your degree, that's your first year, all of the students on the programmes that I've just mentioned study together, study the same curriculum. And the advantage of that is that, as I mentioned before, at the end of the first year, we can allow you to swap between any of those degree programmes. And so that means that if, for example, you arrive on the biomedical sciences degree, but during the first year you decide that really genetics is what you want to study, then at the end of the first year you can switch to the biomedical genetics degree. You then enter in year 2, you enter phase 2 and the more specific part of your degree programme, and you study degree specific modules during semester 2 of year 2 and semester 1 of year 3. So this is when you're concentrating on your biochemistry or your physiology or your biomedical sciences. And then in the final semester of year 3, you do a full-time 10-week research project. And most students find that this is really the highlight of their degree programme, and probably our students might want to say a bit more about that later on. You will, most students go into a research lab in one of the research institutes here in the medical faculty and work on a genuine cutting-edge research project. So you might want to comment a bit more on that later on. So I mentioned our research institutes. We have a number of research institutes, each focusing on a different area of biomedical research, and the teachers who will be teaching you are largely members of these research institutes. So they're research active staff who will be teaching you up to the minute biomedical research information. Okay, so I mentioned already the opportunity to do a placement year, a professional placement year, but if you don't really fancy taking a whole year out, there are plenty of other opportunities for you to get work experience while you're with us. Many of our students take a vacation studentship, so this is a placement, usually 6 to 8 weeks between your second and third year, and most of those vacation placements are based here in the university, again in one of our research institutes. Again, I don't know if either of you took a vacation placement. No, okay, but maybe you have friends who did who you could talk about.
Quite a few.
There's also opportunities for you to go and study overseas. You may, for example, choose to take your final year research project in one of our partner universities in Europe. We have the opportunity for some of our biomedical sciences students to take the second semester of their second year in Australia or at our New Med campus in Malaysia. And there are also opportunities to study or to take vacation studentships in Singapore. If you want something closer to home, the university also employs students on the Newcastle Work Experience scheme, so that also gives you a chance to add value to your CV by getting work experience. So there's lots of chances for you to gain this experience, which will help you at the end of the day to get a job when you graduate. And you can find out more about these opportunities on these web links here from our website. Okay, we give you lots of other opportunities within the curriculum as well to develop your employability skills. And the main one of those is the research project itself in the final year. I've mentioned that the majority of the students do their research project in one of our research institutes, but we also allow you to tailor your research project to your individual career aspirations. So if, for example, you're interested in a career in teaching or science communication, then we will help you to design a project that fits with that area of interest. If you're interested in computer science, then, for example, you might want to take a project that's a bit more to do with computer modelling or perhaps with bioinformatics and processing large data sets. So that final year project really gives you a chance to tailor your project to your career interests. Final year students also get the chance to take a vocational module. And that again allows you to focus on what interests you. So we offer options in healthcare organisation and practice, bioethics, science communication, business for the bioscientist if you're a bit of an entrepreneur and you fancy finding out a bit more about setting up your own business, and also bioinformatics, which is led by Nick, and this is again around processing large amounts of biological data. So lots of opportunity to tailor the programme to your interests. And if you want to find out more about the sorts of careers that our graduates go on to, you can have a look at our website, and there are some profiles of our previous graduates on that link. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say by way of introduction, just to summarise why you might want to accept your clearing offer and come to Newcastle. We do believe that we give our students a really great experience, and they tell us that in the National Student Survey. And we regularly achieve satisfaction scores. In other words, when we ask students whether they're satisfied with their experience, we regularly get more than 90% to 100% of our students saying yes, they were really satisfied, they had a great time here at Newcastle. You have a wide choice of degree programmes, and you have this flexibility to switch between the degree programmes at the end of the first year. Now, some of you might also be interested in following a career in medicine or dentistry, and there is the possibility of applying for a transfer to medicine or dentistry at the end of your first year. That is a very competitive process, but if you're interested in that, we can tell you more about that during the question session. You will be taught by leading researchers, so there's very high quality research-led teaching that you'll have here at Newcastle, and we give you plenty of opportunity to build up your employability skills, so you've got a really good chance of getting a good job at the end of the day. And above all, Newcastle's a really great city. It's a great place to live, and the vast majority of our students have a really great time while they're here with us. So that's everything I'm going to say, and now we'll hand over to you for any questions. Okay, so I have the first question here, which is from Ella, who's asking what Freshers Week is like, and are there activities in the school to get to know others on the course? So I'll hand over to students to kick us off with that question.
So Freshers Week, it's a very, very exciting, tiring experience to say the least. So it is a full week. There are activities both through the day and through the night. So if you are not so much orientated around drinking or going out into town, that's absolutely fine. We do have activities through the day that you can go for a free 3-course meal at restaurants around town. There's also socials to the beach, bowling. There's always something going on regarding Freshers Week. And it is the perfect experience to meet new people and make new friends. And the friends that you do make during Freshers Week actually do last like till the end of the degree, the full 3 years. But yeah, it definitely is. Newcastle is renowned for the nightlife, but it is something to be careful of as well. You know, don't want to drink too much on the first week. Have to be ready for when you do actually arrive for the first lecture.
Yeah, I think with making friends on your course as well, I think that happens quite naturally, especially when you're working in the lab. You're always working with like a partner and stuff, so it happens quite naturally, and I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll also mention we're having a social event on the Wednesday afternoon of Freshers Week this year, where everybody in the school will get the chance to meet everybody else. And you'll also be put into a group with a peer mentor, which is an existing second or third year student. And so within that group, you'll get to know people very well, very quickly as well. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question, which is what are our sports facilities like, and are there lots of teams to join? I'll hand over to you guys again for that one.
Yeah, there's loads of sports teams. There's about 70 sports teams, pretty much any sport you can imagine as well. So there's definitely something that you can get involved in. There's also a scheme called Give It a Go. So if you haven't tried something a bit different, maybe like ice hockey or something, you can go along to that and get free coaching sessions and give it a go.
Yeah, definitely. And if you are interested in participating in sport competitively, the university is also involved in the competitions called books. So for swimming, hockey, football, rowing, all those sort of sports. Even if you've never tried those sports out before, you can join in first year and train with the guys, and then obviously if you find that you do enjoy it and that you do contribute to the team, you can then obviously participate in books, and that's something fantastic to say on your CV later down the line.
Yeah. There's also non-competitive sports, so like intramural sports. So that's more rather than like against different universities, just against maybe different halls or different courses as well, and it's a bit more fun, less competitive. And there's a huge gym at Newcastle, and then they're just funding new sporting facilities as well. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. It's probably worth mentioning the sports centre is right next door to the medical school as well, so you can pop in your lunch break if you want to go and use the gym. It's very convenient.
And also like to add that Wednesday afternoons after 12 o'clock, you don't have any timetabled sessions, any lectures or seminars. So those Wednesday afternoons, and primarily they are used for sports, whether you want to go to the gym or have a team training session, which are fantastic, obviously, to have that time dedicated just for sports, because around studies it can be quite difficult if you are busy throughout the day, on other days through the week. So to have that afternoon dedicated to sport, it's really fantastic.
Okay, thank you. So the next question that's come in is about the transfer to medicine process and the probability of being accepted on that. And what are you looking for in students on that transfer? Do you want to take that, Nick, or shall I?
Yeah, I can take it. There's 7 places available on transfer, and it is based on an interview process and your first semester marks, and also UK CAT. So if you get into a position where you want to transfer, you've got good first semester marks and a good personal statement, they will then invite you to interview. Last year, I think they interviewed about 90, wasn't it? Around 80 or 90 for 7 places. And then they will give you an offer so that you can transfer at the end of your first year. One of my tutees just successfully transferred at the end of his first year, got exceptionally good marks in the exams, and is very, very happy now that he's transferred over to medicine. A number of students as well actually will go on to do medicine as graduate entry, so they complete their first degree with us, and then they will go on to do medicine after they have finished at Newcastle.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. Next question is, what kind of jobs do graduates go on to, and are we supported in finding jobs by the school or the careers service? Do you want to take that one,
I can answer
Andy?
that.
Yeah.
So a lot of our graduates go into research-based jobs, and so during their time at Newcastle, they'll just experience and meet researchers, and lots of students sort of take advantage of that opportunity and find out about all the different research positions available. But by all means, that's not the only route, and we see lots of graduates going to lots of different jobs. So as Debbie mentioned before, some students are interested in education and go into teaching. We also have lots of people who are interested in writing and publishing, and they will go into those types of positions. Pharmaceutical industry is a very wide area that students will go into, and again, based on their laboratory experience during our degree, they make very good applicants for those sorts of jobs. So we have a careers service, and we have interaction with researchers, so students are in a perfect place to make informed decisions and to find out about jobs. Lots of things in life are who you know, what you know, and things like that. And you have a perfect chance at Newcastle to meet lots of people with different backgrounds and doing different things.
Okay, thank you.
I would just actually like to add to that a number of our students don't take a sort of science route, and new students are often quite surprised when they hear about our graduates that have gone into subjects such as law, accountancy, banking, finance, and those areas, because those industries want people with a good, strong science background and also with good numeracy skills. So don't just think that doing a science degree is about becoming a scientist or going to work in the sort of scientific industry. There are lots of other opportunities open to you as well.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to comment perhaps on your experience of the careers service or the advice that you've had, and what you're doing now, because you're both graduates, of course.
So I'm working as a graduate ambassador for the Faculty of Medical Sciences. So I'm going out and promoting the medical sciences and Newcastle University. The career service at Newcastle is great. It's really massive. So there's something that you can get. Someone will always be able to give you advice there. And just like a thing about part-time jobs as well while you're at university, there's a society called JobSoc, and you can join that, and they post part-time jobs at university while you're here. And something that really helped me decide what I wanted to do was my third year vocational module. I chose science communication, and I decided that that was something that I was really interested in just through that as well.
Yeah, the staff there are very, very knowledgeable about the current climate around the career, especially your degree as well. Although they do deal with numerous students across the campus, across the university, across multiple disciplines, because they see so many students regarding your degree as well. They are very much in a position to advise you on what careers, how to bolster up your CV, and yeah, just how to kind of improve your skills. I've used it a number of times to improve my personal statement, and I actually went there before I applied for my master's that I'm going on to study here and continue on in Newcastle University, and they provided some very constructive advice that I believe that without their help, I don't think I would have got on to the master's degree as easily.
Okay.
Also, the career service is award winning. They're very highly regarded in the university sector for what they offer to the students and the support that they give. So it is a well recognised and very, very useful service that is available to students and alumni.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we've got another question in, which is about teaching hours. So the question is, what are the teaching hours like in the first year, and do you have much free time? So, Andy, do you want to start with that, and then we'll get the students' version as well?
Yes, so I can give you the sort of official guidelines about teaching hours in the first year. So basically we have 3 types of teaching activity. So you'll have lectures. So a lecture is normally an hour long, and normally in the first year you would probably have about 8 or 10 of those in a week. The other thing that we have a lot of at Newcastle is practicals. So you actually go into a lab and do a practical, and sometimes they're quite long. There'll be 2, 3, 4, and as you move throughout the year and into the second year, they can be like 4 or 5 hours. But in the first year, they were about 2 to 4 hours per week in a lab. So we do say to people, we do lots of lab stuff here, and that's really important, we think, and students like lab stuff. We also have a third type of teaching activity. We have seminars, and you probably have about 1 or 2 of those per week, and that gives you the chance to split into smaller groups to discuss the material that you may have had in the lecture or in the practical. And again, so 1 or 2 of those per week. So that, I think, works out to about 16, maybe 20 hours a week. So it's not a full week, but it's a reasonably timetabled week. So you do have some time off, and obviously in that time you can do further study, and you do have time to do other things. And I'm sure the students here will tell us that they don't spend all their time in lectures.
Yeah, no, you do get some spare time, and it is a good time to catch up in the library, if you can. But also you do get your Wednesday afternoons off as well, so it does break up the week nicely. But you get a lot of lab work, which is very helpful as well. And it doesn't, I think the lab work's a nice break from just the formal teaching as well, because you're actually getting hands-on experience.
Yeah. I would say through first year, second year, and third year, it's a very different situation. For example, in third year, when you do start your research project, you are expected to work 9 to 5. And although that does sound incredibly daunting, I did enjoy that a lot more than first year and second year, where you do have the odd lectures that are kind of squished together, 2 or 3 hours out of the day, and then you've got time before and after. But so the hours do tend to increase more as you go on, and you are expected to dedicate a lot more time to studies. But that should be expected from a university degree, because you are trying to work towards something that is ultimately very important in the future. But saying that, it's nothing to be scared of when you first join university. It does come naturally. You do get into the swing of it, and you do manage to have a social life, get out, have a part-time job as well. It is very flexible. It's nothing to concern yourself regarding hours.
Okay, thank you. It's maybe a good time to pick up here actually on your final year research projects. Do you want to give a very quick summary of what you did for your project?
Okay, yes. So I'll start. I worked within the NICR, which is the National Institute for the Northern Institute for Cancer Research here at Newcastle University. And I worked with a fantastic researcher called Dr. Julie Irving, and we worked on a project regarding leukemia, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And the project that you do work on is very much tailored to you. It's your own project. You do have help from postgraduate student, but what they are working on may be sidelined to yours or maybe somewhat relatable, but it's not the same project. You do have your own standalone project. And when you do apply for your research subject area, it's very much, again, tailored to you. You know, you choose the words that you want how would you describe it?
The subject
Keywords.
area.
Just the
yeah,
keywords,
yeah.
the subject areas, the keywords. And then you can also add a little paragraph in that you can summarize your interests, where you want your experiences from your research project to lead you further down in your career. But overall, it is a very, very fantastic experience. It has been my favorite throughout the 3 years.
Yeah, it's definitely been my favourite experience through the 3 years as well. I think it's quite a rare opportunity that you get into a laboratory, especially like a one that's at the cutting edge of research. So I was in the Institute of Cellular Medicine with Professor Loran Agus, and I was studying metformin, the diabetes type 2 drug, and no one really knows how metformin works. So I was researching to see if we could find the mechanism behind that, so further diabetes drugs could be discovered.
Great.
Yeah.
It's the most prescribed diabetes drug, and we don't know how it works. And, you know, it's interesting from that point of view.
It's great.
Excellent. Okay, the next question that's come up is for the students, and it's did you move away from home and did you get homesick? So this student is moving from Sheffield.
Okay. Well, I'm from Durham, so I haven't moved very far. But in first year, I did actually move out of home in student accommodation for first year. I would say I got somewhat homesick, but then that was in the first few weeks, the first few months of being away, because it is a huge jump from living with your family, you know, your pet, your brother and your sister, to moving into a flat with people that you've just got to know, and you are living quite independently. You know, you have to budget, you have to buy your own shopping, cook your own food, and plan your whole day around yourself. So at first I was somewhat homesick because obviously that is that adjustment period there. Then over the first year and the second year and then third year, because I am so used to being independent, I do prefer living away from home, being in my own flat with my friends. But yeah, from Durham to here, although it's like a very, very short distance, I don't think it's much of an issue. In Sheffield as well, I live with someone who is from Sheffield, and it's a 2-hour train ride for her. So she does pop back every so often. And again, when she does come back, she does relish in that independence when she is away from home.
Okay. I'm actually a home student, so I'm just from Gated. So unfortunately for my mum, I lived at home. And just a point for home students as well, like I travelled in every morning and I never felt like I was missing out on anything, all the social activities. You can still really get involved in everything like that. So you can get involved with the student union as well.
Okay. It's probably worth adding as well that if you do suffer from homesickness or any other sorts of problems, there's lots of support here available to you. So you'll be assigned to a member of staff who'll be your personal tutor. So if you're having any problems or difficulties, they'd be your point of contact. And we also have the University Student Wellbeing Service, and you can make an appointment to go and visit the Student Wellbeing Service if you're having emotional or mental health difficulties. They will be able to arrange appointments for you to meet with counsellors, and they'll support you through that. And the Student Wellbeing Service is also available for students who've got disabilities, and again you'd be given a support disability officer at the Student Wellbeing Service who would help to make sure that we make the necessary adjustments for you to succeed in your studies. So even if you do run into a few problems and not feel entirely happy, there's lots and lots of support available to you.
And the student mentors, of course.
And the student
Yep.
mentors, thank
Yep.
you. Yes, so yes, we also have the peer mentors that I mentioned earlier. So you'll get to know your peer mentor. You will receive an information pack from the school over the next couple of weeks, and you'll be assigned to a peer mentor, and you can start communicating with them by email before you actually arrive at university. So you'll already have a named person, a named student that you know even before you get here. So I think all of that really helps with the settling in process.
And there's also various Facebook groups that the students set up,
Yes.
don't they, for
Yeah.
Freshers Week and for new students coming. So again, another great forum where you can ask those questions that you may not want to ask to members of staff or your tutor. You can go to those places and ask those sorts of questions as well.
Yeah, I think everyone's in the same boat as well. Like most people move up and stay in accommodation, so you'll find a friend who's going through the same situation as you as well. And in Freshers Week and things like that, there's so many activities to get involved with. You'll probably not even have time to be homesick.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is, I understand you're a Russell Group university, and how does that benefit me, and what kind of research is done? Nick, do you want to pick that one up?
Yes, we are Russell Group University. This means that we're a research active university, a lot of research going on here. So that is the main benefit really to you, is that we are very, very research active. So our teaching is what we call research led, which means that it is informed by the researchers. So our research active staff have direct input into the material that you're being taught, the design of your projects, etc. So that's really where it comes in and is the benefit for you, that we are a very, very research active university.
And there's also the benefit of being able to do the sort of research projects that our students have just mentioned.
Yeah.
It's quite an unusual opportunity for you to get that sort of experience and those skills that you can then take on to your future employment.
Yeah.
Andy, do you want to...
When you leave, when your CV will just make it clear that you come from a university like this, for example. And so if you are wanting to go into more research, it'll have an advantage saying that you did a project in the Northern Institute for Cancer Research, for example, because that really sort of puts a stamp on your CV that you know what real research is like. You've been influenced by that.
Yeah, within that environment, yeah.
Okay, there's a question here specifically for Andrew. Would you recommend the halls that you stayed in?
Actually, I would. I stayed in a hall called St Mary's, which is still available. And although it wasn't my first choice of accommodation, I met my best friends there. The environment that I was in, the flats are fully refurbished, so everything was new for that year when I moved in. So it was absolutely fantastic. It was a little far out, but because it is that far out, the university provides a bus service to actually try to get us in, and that ran on the morning and on the evenings, about three or four buses that would come round every so often and pick us up and take us home or take us back into town for university. But yeah, definitely St Mary's was great for me. So if you do are given that accommodation, allocated that position, yeah, just take it as it comes, because you will find that you'll enjoy it at the end of the first year. You will miss it.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to comment on yours?
I stayed at home.
Oh, you stayed. Of course you did. Yes, sorry. Yes.
I
Right.
think St Mary's is the furthest one out, isn't it?
It is,
It is,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
A lot of our
far
accommodation
better.
is within
Yeah.
10 to 15 minutes walk of campus, so it is, a lot of it's closer in, but I'd say St Mary's.
Yeah.
It's nice out there. That's the one with the big rugby pitches, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
and that
the
really old,
nunnery.
nice looking building,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, it's an interesting hall. Yeah, very nice.
And I did find as well, living out that far out, I did actually walk in. It was only about half an hour walk to the medical school. So if you wanted to get into the centre of town or to the quayside, yes, it's quite far. But because the medical campus itself is at the northern end of the of the city, actually walking from Fenham was not an issue, and it's a little quieter, but that makes everyone in St Mary's a little closer, because you get to know the flats, you can be more social with each other, because obviously you are that little further out, which I think kind of worked in my favour, to make friends, to meet people. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed first year.
There's also good public transport from there
Yes.
to the
Yeah.
bus station is just next to the university anyway, so it's very, very close that way as well. So it's very easy to get around.
Okay, thank you. So we've got another question. This one's about international students. So how many international students are there in each year group, and is there a strong community?
That's a question I get asked a lot actually, and it's a very difficult one to answer because the numbers change as the degree progresses. In the first year, we will have between 35 to 40 international students, plus on top of that, we have 10 Americans come over.
About that, yes.
About 10 Americans.
Yeah.
So first year, 45, 50-ish international students out of about 380, 390 students in total in the school. The second year, that number drops slightly because the American students will go back to the US because of they're just here for a year with us as part of their US degree. So that brings it back down to around the 35-40 mark. And then in the final year, we pick up some additional international students from our branch campus in Malaysia. So that may add in another 30 or 40 international students into the mix. So those are the rough sort of numbers that we have. Some of the international students will spend time together. There will be that natural sort of bond from students from different countries or different cultures, or there may be a bond over a common language or something of that nature. And they will also integrate well across the programs and make lots of friends from different countries and from the UK. So that's roughly how the numbers break down.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, I've never been to Newcastle. What's it like, and is it a safe city? Do you want to start on that one?
Yeah, well, I'm a bit biased because I'm from Newcastle, but Newcastle's great. It is quite a safe city. I think the thing about being at the university as well, it is a campus university, so everything is quite tight in, but you are also in the city centre. There's always something to get involved with in Newcastle as well. It's a really great student city, obviously with Newcastle University and then Northumbria University as well. There's always something going on, especially at term time. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and the Newcastle University itself does have its own on-campus security team, and we also have an app dedicated to security called
Safe.
Safe Zone, where you can actually clock in your location and where you are. For example, if you're leaving the library late on a night and you're heading home, obviously then you can let people know, let the security team know where you are. And if you do feel any way unsafe, you can alert those people and they can be there within minutes because it is such a small city itself. But definitely the locals are very friendly, very approachable. So I wouldn't say there's any need to be concerned about your own safety being in Newcastle if you haven't been here before.
I mean, just to follow up on that, there are lots of students at Newcastle. That's the other thing. With the other universities just down the road, I think it's about 1 in 5 people in Newcastle is a student.
Yeah.
And so that again adds to the sort of friendliness of the place, that students are everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd also add that from the safety point of view, I have 3 teenage children myself, and they regularly go out in the town, and I never worry about their safety.
Yeah.
It is a safe place to be. Anything else on that? Okay.
Nope.
Okay. Sorry, I've just come into the chat. What are the placements between the second and third year like? Where do people tend to go, and do you help us find placements? So I think I'll answer that one. So the placements between the second and third year, the full year placements, tend to be, for the most part, in industry. So split between pharmaceutical industry and biotechnology industry. And that's a mixture really of the big pharmaceutical companies. We have students who go to GlaxoSmithKline, for example, AstraZeneca, those big companies, but also going to smaller biotechnology companies, some of those more locally. So we have a couple of students in the last 2 years have gone out to a small biotechnology company in Holtwhistle, which is just about 20 miles outside Newcastle. And there are also some spin-out companies from the university that the students go to work with. So there's a wide variety. We have a lot of contacts with these businesses and industries that will help you to get those placements. Do we help you to find the placements? Absolutely, yes. So we have a dedicated member of academic staff who acts as a placement advisor, and she will start, well, in fact, right from your first year in advising you about how to find a placement. You'll get support from her and from the Careers Service in terms of making your applications, putting together your CV and so on. And making sure that you get that placement. There's also the possibility of getting placements in university labs as well. I mentioned that that's usually over the summer, but some students do that for a full year out placement as well. So lots of opportunities if that's what you want to do.
And sorry, another opportunity to get that work experience is a lab assistantship program that we run. How many do we have on that unit?
25 to 30.
25 to 30, and it's one afternoon a week, isn't it? In one of our research labs. And you might start with where we all start in science, actually, with something called pipette tip box stuffing, which is a tedious job, but it's something that has to be done, and then helping out eventually sort of make up solutions and working with the research staff. You may even have a sort of mini project that you get involved with, and a number of students who do those lab assistantship programs, for which you actually get paid as well, will go on to possibly do a summer project in those labs, 6 to 8 week project, might even go on to do a final year project or even a PhD in those labs. So again, there's lots of opportunities there for you to gain valuable experience to sort of start bulking out your CV and getting that job that you want once you've graduated.
Yeah, just a point on the vacation project as well. I think about 10 people in the pharmacology class, which I was in, done a vacation thing, and you can actually get funding for those and get paid while you do them.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's actually the end of the questions. So if you have any more questions, you're very welcome to contact us. You can either email us directly, and you'll find our contact details on the school website, or you can call the school on 0191 208 8200. So I hope you found this useful, and I really hope that we'll be able to welcome you to Newcastle University in the last week of September, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.